What's going on with you today? Thank you for joining me. I want to have a conversation about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the woman whose life has been the subject of countless documentaries, interviews, and now a memoir. You might have thought the public fascination with her story was dying down, but let me tell you, things have taken a wild turn. Gypsy's book promotions have not yet reignited public interest, but have also sparked a wave of backlash that's making her situation even worse. Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been on a mission to promote her memoir, My Time to Stand. It finally hit the shelves on December 10th, and since then, she's been on what feels like a non-stop press tour. She's appeared on various platforms, including social media, podcasts, and interviews, trying to gain traction for her book.
All right, Gypsy, thank you for coming on the Barely Famous podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm addicted to narcotics, and I'm also sucking on a baby bottle to give me comfort. She would give me what we call a cocktail, and so that would be a mixture of oxycodone and Xanax together, and it put me in a state of numbness, and I liked being there.
Why now? Why are we writing a book now?
This is simply a book of hope.
Your truth is your truth, and I feel like at the end of the day, he can't dispute what your perception of any of this was.
Because I would be in trouble for walking even inside the house.
But instead of gaining sympathy or support, these promotions have led to a backlash that's only intensified with each passing day. Why? Well, Gypsy's choice of words and the way she's been presenting herself have left many questioning her authenticity and motives. Dive deeper into this unfolding controversy. Gypsy's main strategy for these promotions have been to position herself as a victim, a survivor of her mother's abuse. That's not a new narrative. It's been the cornerstone of her story since her case first captured public attention. But here's where things get tricky. In almost every recent interview, Gypsy has been accused of gaslighting the public into thinking we misunderstood her past actions. She's repeatedly insisted that her book isn't a true crime story, but rather a deeply personal account of survival, resilience, and overcoming trauma.
Hey everybody, so this is day 2 after my memoir, My Time to Stand, has been released to bookstores and wherever books are sold. I am so proud to be holding this book right now. And whoever has read it already, I hope that you receive the message. This is not a true crime book. This is a book about survival and hardship and overcoming massive amounts of trauma. To say that this book is just a book is not. It's very, very much misrepresented.
While that might sound admirable on the surface, it's hard to ignore the gaps and contradictions in her claims. These inconsistencies make it feel like there's more she's trying to obscure than reveal. Let's talk about the video Gypsy posted to promote her memoir. In this clip, she speaks passionately about her hopes for the book, describing it both as means of healing for herself and a source of inspiration for others. She emphasizes that the book isn't just a collection of words, but a reflection of her entire life. She goes on to praise her co-writers Melissa Moore and Michelle Matrisani for their talent in capturing the emotional depth of her experiences.
This is not a book. This is my entire life in pages. When I started working on this book with Melissa Moore and Michelle Matrisani, 2 amazing women, amazing writers, I had such a wonderful time working with them, brainstorming, and it's really a talent to be able to bring the emotions of what a trauma survivor has to go through and overcome and push past into words. That is incredibly difficult because no one can know the emotions felt by a victim unless you are in that situation or have been there. And so for us to brainstorm together and kind of figure out how do we want to put this all together, how do we want to framework this, is amazing. And I think we did an amazing job.
At first glance, it all seems heartfelt. But here's the thing, Howard in this video didn't sit right with a lot of people. Many viewers felt that she was once again distorting the truth and using this platform as an opportunity to rewrite her narrative to paint herself in a more sympathetic light. For instance, Gypsy claimed her book answers questions she's supposedly never been asked in interviews. Questions like, why didn't you just run away? But hold on, isn't that one of the first things everyone asked when her case broke? Gypsy has previously addressed this question, saying she once tried to escape but was caught within hours and returned home. So why is she now acting as though this is some groundbreaking revelation?
Are things that I don't get asked in interviews. I don't get asked how scared I was in certain situations. I don't get asked why didn't I just run away? I don't get asked that stuff. And I think even if I told them why, they wouldn't really understand. So it's extremely important to put into words for readers when they are reading my story and when my story is told. The reasons, the emotions, the restrictions put on me and put on victims. So I think that this book is ultimately the thing that I needed to have happened in my life.
These kinds of inconsistencies only serve to fuel skepticism about her intentions and honesty. Then there's the part where Gypsy describes her book as a source of hope for abuse survivors. She claims it will show them that life can improve and that there is hope beyond trauma.
And this is a healing book. This is about letting go of my past and finally pushing towards my future. And I hope that if anyone is in my shoes or the shoes that I was in, if they are experiencing trauma, if they are experiencing abuse, that this book will show that there is hope, there is life beyond abuse. I'm not going to say that how I gained my freedom was right, because it wasn't, and I talk about that in the book. You know, I absolutely have a life of regrets. I'm not perfect. I've made really bad choices in my life, but that's what makes me human. And I think that we all have a sense of feeling like maybe we're not worthy of being loved. Maybe we're not worthy of a better life beyond abuse. And that's simply not true.
On the surface, this sounds commendable. But when you consider the content and context of her story, many critics argue that the memoir, filled with selective truths and manipulations, is unlikely to provide genuine comfort to survivors. Instead, it feels more like an attempt to profit off her notoriety whilst cutting true accountability for her past actions. This leads us to the heart of the public's frustration. Gypsy continues to emphasize her mother's abuse while minimizing or entirely omitting her own role in the events that led to Didi's death. Let's not forget that her actions directly contributed to her murder. Her mother is dead, and Nick Godejohn, her ex-boyfriend and accomplice, is serving a life sentence. Yet Gypsy has consistently portrayed herself as the ultimate victim, sidestepping the pain and suffering caused by her decisions. It's no wonder people are growing tired of hearing the same self-serving narrative recycled in a new packaging. So why is she acting like this is a new revelation? It's inconsistencies like this that make people question her sincerity. Then there's the part where Gypsy says her book is meant to give hope to abuse survivors. She claims it will show them that life can be better, that there is hope beyond trauma. But let's be real, can a book filled with manipulations and half-truths really provide genuine comfort to survivors? Many feel it's just another way to profit from her past while refusing to take full accountability of her actions. And that's where the public's frustration comes in. Gypsy keeps emphasizing her mother's abuse while downplaying her own role in the events that led to Didi's death. Speaking of self-serving, let's talk about how the public has reacted to Gypsy's book. Many have sarcastically renamed it My Time to Lie or My Time to Scum, saying it's more fiction than fact. Readers and critics alike are calling her out for presenting herself as a trauma survivor while failing to show any real growth or accountability.
What a painful read that was, I have to say. I'm not even gonna lie. It was nothing crazy in this book. It was everything I think I pretty much expected. The exaggerations of stories previously told, the addition of some new little, in my opinion, lies that she kind of threw in there to twist and turn and, put the blame on other people, everybody but herself. She never actually took accountability in this book. She kind of goes around it and tries to act like she is, but she never actually takes accountability. Again, this book, to me, it had a very strong sexual undertone to it. I feel like that's not crazy because we know that, or I believe that she is very obsessed with sex and the body and all of that. And so this book definitely carried a very big sexual undertone, in my opinion.
Some have even accused her of deliberately avoiding therapy because she doesn't want to confront the truth of her actions. And let's not forget the people urging her to donate a portion of her book profits to organizations that help abuse survivors, something she's yet to address. One moment that really stood out during her promotions was when Gypsy tried to choke up while talking about her book. She claimed she was overwhelmed with emotion, but there were no tears. Her expression didn't match her words, and people noticed. It felt performative, like she was trying to manipulate the audience into feeling sorry for her. And honestly, that's been a recurring theme in her interviews and appearances. Gypsy also made an appearance on the barely famous podcast with Kaylin Laurie. During a statement where they played a game about confessing dark secrets, Gypsy admitted to stealing her mother's medication to get high. This was a bombshell because it contradicted her long-standing claim that Diddy forced unnecessary medication on her.
We listen and we don't judge.
So I also used to steal my mom's pain medication to get high.
Okay. We listen and we don't judge.
Suddenly, Gypsy's narrative shifted again, leaving people wondering what's true and what's not. Reactions to her podcast appearance were just as harsh as those at her book promotions. Some people mocked her for not confessing the big truths, like her role in her mother's death, and instead opting for softer revelations. Others accused her of being a compulsive liar who can't keep her story straight.
So, Kale, are you really supporting a woman that used a man with autism, a low IQ, and was collecting a permanent disability check with other mental health issues? Is that what you're doing now, Kale? Because I had a whole lot more respect for you. I actually have always respected you a lot for how you handle business and how well you take care of your kids. But the fact that this woman is on here lying and you are playing into this, wow. That's deep.
And let's not overlook how some felt the podcast host subtly trolled Gypsy by making confessions that mirrored her life, highlighting her hypocrisy without directly calling her out. Now, let's circle back to the public's main gripe, Gypsy's failure to take accountability. Over and over, people have said they're tired of her framing herself as a victim while glossing over her active participation in a murder. What the public wants to see is remorse, genuine accountability, and a commitment to change, not more stories about how hard her life has been. As for the book itself, many are predicting it will flop. The backlash has been intense, and Gypsy's promotional efforts seem to be doing more harm than good. Instead of building sympathy, they're fueling resentment. People are seeing through the lies and inconsistencies, and they're not buying what she's selling. Literally figurative. And at the end of the day, Gypsy Rose Blanchard's story is a complicated one. There is no denying she's endured abuse, but there is also no denying she's made choices that had devastating consequences. Her attempts to rewrite her narrative through this book are backfiring, leaving her with even less credibility than before. Whether she will ever truly take accountability remains to be seen. At the end of the day, Gypsy Rose Blanchard's story is a complicated one. There is no denying she endured abuse, But there's also no denying she made choices that had devastating consequences. Her attempts to rewrite her narrative through this book are backfiring, leaving her with even less credibility than before. Whether she'll ever truly take accountability remains to be seen. But for now, it seems the public has had enough. But what about you? What do you think about Gypsy's book and her promotional tactic? Do you think she's genuinely trying to heal? Or is this just another way to manipulate the public? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe to keep updated on all the latest developments. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. I'm out.